I was living in Finland at the same time I was this immigrant. Always they had this immigrant. My purpose was to show them the reality of the Somaliness, you know. Somalis are not the things that they see in the media, right? We are people with, vision. We have passion, we are hard workers, So usually they think that we're lazy. The more they saw who I am, as a Somali, of course they were, wow, they were shocked. So basically I tell them my story.
Right. You are like a disruptor.
I am. I have this mentality. If I did this once, I can do it. And of course it had increased my confidence. I wasn't after being a CEO or so. I was just after doing something that had more impact or that I love to do it.
What type of offers did you get?
The first offers was like around.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So welcome to the Godson Pratt podcast, Fadumo.
Thank you.
So we have today we are in the presence of greatness, and our guest today is a very special one whose story is not just special but also very necessary. And the story is so inspiring and so unbelievable. I am myself even fascinated. And funny enough, just yesterday I was just about to text you to cancel because I was a little bit nervous.
Really?
Yeah. So I said to my girlfriend that I'm not ready.
Okay.
And she said to me, hell yeah, you are ready. And then it just dawned on me that, what would Fadumo do? What would Fadumo do in this type of situation? And so far, everything that I know about you, that I've researched about you, you are a go-getter. And I don't think like you wait till you are ready before you go, you just go. So that's why we are here today. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So for all my guests, I have to read, this is like the longest introduction that I've written. But like I said, our guest is so special that few words are not enough. But imagine, right, a nurse standing in the front lines, seeing cracks in a system and having frustration about all the things that could be done about the system. And she didn't just recognize the problem, she became a solution to the problem. Our guest today is Fadumo Ali. She is a visionary who turned her scraps into a CEO suit, not for fame or fortune, but because she refused to accept good enough in a world where better is possible. Her story isn't just about rapid success, it's about courage. The courage to live a stable career, to stare down skeptics, and to rebuild healthcare from the ground up, one innovative solution at a time. It's about compassion, channeling the heart of a nurse into a mission that now touches thousands of lives. It's about conviction, proving that one person's relentless pursuit of better can shake up an entire industry. Whether you are in healthcare, tech, or simply someone who believes in rewriting the rules, this conversation is for you. So join me in welcoming our guest, Fadumo, to the podcast. You're welcome once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure, actually.
It's our honor to have you.
Thank you.
So I did a little bit of research about you. Obviously, I thought I knew your story well enough, but basically, I think from the research I did like a few days just to prepare for the interview, I realized no, I need to update my information every 6 months because what I thought I knew has changed tremendously. So some of the things that I found about you said that you started Hoiwa in 2020. And already after a year, you were named one of the 100 healthcare influencers of 2021 by Medi Uutiset. And then in 2022, you were awarded Expo Entrepreneur of the Year. You were also selected by the Nordic Business Forum as one of the 35 most influential entrepreneurs under 35 in Northern Europe. You were also offered, I heard, 10 million euros for your business, but you refused. The big question that we have today, actually we have a few big questions,
Okay.
but one of the big questions that we have, and I would like us to start on this note, that how does a person coming from an African background, Somalia to be specific, coming to Finland as a refugee child, with all the obstacles stacked against you, manages to build a business that the first time that I checked, when I Googled you, it was like around 4.5 million or something like that. But just in a few years ago, I think the revenue said something like 9 million. How is that possible? And that is what we are about to find out today.
Okay. So basically, of course, my journey started when I was maybe child in Finland. You know, I'm from big family. I'm the middle child, the only daughter in my family. And yeah, in Finland, I think I have been in my whole life very curious, you know, about everything, about my, you know, surroundings and the people. And at the same time, I wasn't like, of course, I was very active child, and I wasn't the, you know, the most courageous child, you know, when it comes to speaking up. You know, I was always having in my head, okay, I'm from Africa, I'm Somali, okay, maybe Finnish knows better. As I grew up being like as a nomad, because in Somali community you are always ready to leave the country. You're not like we don't have the mentality that this will be our home. Right. So basically, I was having this double culture, Finnish culture and Somali culture. I was in the middle of them both, and so basically, I knew my strength as a Somali, where I was good, you know. And then at the same time, I was growing up in Finland, and I had this mentality. Okay, I'm just a guest. You know, they took care of me, but eventually I'm leaving from here. Okay, but by time I grew up, you know, and I still having this mentality, and then when I went to study in university as a public health nurse, I saw a lot of obstacles in healthcare. Everybody usually, you know, they complain about the everything, you know, workplace, the atmosphere, everything. So I at the same time I saw a lot of solutions, but I wasn't like brave enough to say that aloud. Okay, I was just minding my own business, you know, and doing my thing. And then the more I just grew, you know, or grew, of course I had more and more self-confidence, and I used to do a lot of gig work beside of my university time. And I just realized these people, they're not so special, you know, because I had this barrier. I was living in Finland at the same time. I was this immigrant. Always they had this immigrant, you know.
So you didn't feel like you were home.
Yes, I didn't even felt being in home when I went back to my homeland. Because and they saw me as this Somali who had a different accent, you know, who doesn't know every word in Somali. And in Finnish, same thing. I'm a Somali, you know, we're having a hijab. So I was always the middle, you know. I didn't have I didn't feel like I was completely accepted, you know, in both ways. But when in Finland, I just saw, okay, I'm in Finland. These people. Of course, but this is a beautiful country. Everything is built, you know, the system perfect. But the people who are like running, they're not like so, you know, they're ordinary people. Okay, and this made me more confidence. Okay, if I would in that position, I would do that. You know, as a manager, for example. So, when time goes, when we were like near to Corona 2020, you know, I was in 2017 actually. I was like, you know, I had my degree. I was like having my career, you know, everything was stable. But still, I felt like this is not enough. You know, I felt I was supposed to do different. I didn't know what was the difference. Yeah, and all the things that was pushing me away was all the problems in that atmosphere in, you know, healthcare sector. So basically, of course, I believe in life we always have phases, you know. That was the phase I was realized. Okay, I'm capable of doing something better than being a nurse.
Right. So when you look back at your journey, right?
Yeah.
Now you are successful. You've created Hoiwa, and you are successful and everything, right? Looking back at that journey, what moment made you say this is bigger than me?
I think the first phase in Hoiwa, while I was during Hoiwa, it was actually when it just grew rapidly. I was just by myself, you know. I only had accounting, but everything else I was doing myself.
Okay.
And then by time it was growing, and then when I get contract with Helsinki, the capital of Finland, which is actually the most the bigger employer in Finland, Helsinki city. Okay, then the whole Helsinki city's home cares wards units, they were calling me, the managers, hey, Fadumo, we need nurses. Okay, I felt like, okay, I cannot do myself, you know.
Right.
2021, I asked my brothers to come join the company. Okay, and so I was very good at to share company. Even it was profitable. I had a good contract. Everything was fine, and I knew that this was like growing fastly, and I couldn't do by myself. I need a team, you know. And of course, I took my brothers. One is a IT engineer, another one is a diploma engineer.
Yeah.
So basically, and that phase, I switched from self-employed to family business concept.
Right.
And then next, like within 2 months, I got offers, payout offers.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I realized, this can be actually a startup. Okay?
Right. So what type of offers did you get?
The first offers was like around 4 to 5 million. It was after the first year.
Right.
Okay.
Why didn't you sell? That's a lot of money.
That's very. Imagine it was from the first year. I wasn't like, it came too quickly, and I wasn't after money. I was after, just doing something. Impact. And it was I have a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then when I saw how eagerly they wanted to be part of it, buy it, okay? And I saw, this is bigger than me. I have to stay and do, because just this journey just started, right?
Yeah. So let me ask you this, though. At the time you were working as a nurse, doing the same job, and you saw all the cracks in the system. You wanted to fix the system. But what makes you go from being a nurse as a worker to being a nurse entrepreneur?
Yes, that's actually it wasn't like straightforward.
Okay.
It just came like, it was actually a surprise, because I wasn't after being a CEO I was just after doing something that had more impact, or that I love to do it, that had like more purpose, so basically I felt like I was like draining, my good energy was draining from that bad energy in the healthcare, right? So and in the end I was like running away with the healthcare, but in the end I was maybe the solution for it. I was I started to build my own company. I had like 5 years strategy, a plan. It was very realistic. Not even getting nothing salary from it in 5 years.
Right.
But it came it grew so rapidly. I wasn't like, I was like I was the right person in the right place at the right time, right? Everything was right. So, and I was actually aware of possibilities, So what happened was, the things that I was running away from, I tried to make it. I tried to solve the problem. I had a solution, but it took me. I saw it. Maybe it took me to be the solution.
Right. So what does it mean to you, being an African woman building one of Finland's fastest growing companies.
Oh no! Actually, it's not anymore. At this moment, as you know, the economy it changed so quickly. Everything's in Europe. Everything's like changed within 1 year.
Right.
But still, I was very fortunate to build something very good. You know, I have the base. Everything's good. You know, but the environmental changes, you know, the war, the political, everything had an impact on us. But still, I have this mentality. If I did this once, you know, I can do it. And of course, it had increased my confidence. You know, now I've done it. Now I saw it. You know how to be near 10 million revenue in the company. How to have a big teams, you know, how to have pool of 20,000 healthcare professionals. Okay, it's like it's a matter of time when they are needed. You know, we can start or continue where we left. Right. So basically, I'm like ready to grow even 200 million revenue, but because sometimes as an entrepreneur you have to realize everything is not in our control,
right? Of course
we have to actually accept the reality. Sometimes when things are in our hands, you have to like take it slowly and observe what can you bring to the table, what is the values you bring it, you know.
Right. Was there ever a point where you almost gave up? And what kept you going?
I think the first time I felt like giving up. I think it's not the company, it's the place time in Finland.
Okay.
So basically, what happened is when you're surrounded of people who doesn't get your energy, you know, or who are not as fast in decision making or testing as you. Of course, you get frustrated. But and as an entrepreneur, I follow where the market is, where the people who make decisions. But that usually when I get very frustrated, I think, oh my God, should I just take my bags and go? You know, because I feel like right now we are in an era where everything is like very slowly. People are like wondering what's going to happen, you know.
Exactly.
And at the same time, I am a person who likes to be, you know, on like just go, you know. I don't like to be on place, you know.
Right. So you like moving and you like moving
yes,
fast.
and then I try, and I love to try things out, you know. It's like what is learn fast, what is it? Is it learn fast, fail fast,
fail forward.
Right. So basically, but in Finland, people hate to fail, you know. But without failing, you cannot learn nothing. They have.
I think that's very common with humanity because, you know, like they say, fear of failure is what stops a lot of us from even trying because we don't want to fail.
Yeah, that's true.
You are a visionary. You have this urge to grow, to develop, to fail fast, to fail forward and learn and keep moving. But now you are surrounded by, you know, people who want to be in the comfort zone. And one thing that at this point I have come to understand while researching you is like you are like a disruptor.
I am.
You know, but you know, take me a little bit back, right?
Okay.
What was young Fadumo like growing up?
I think I have been always like, you know, a person of people, you know. I love to be, I'm very social, you know. With the people I know, you know, I used to be actually very shy, you know, with the front of the camera. So, but I think my strength was I was always curious, you know, and I was like open-minded person, you know. I couldn't like, I hated to be in box, you know.
Right.
So basically, and I love to change or try things out, and you know, and I love to be different than other, you know, the crowd, you know. So basically, most people they want to be part of the crowd. Okay,
right.
But I was always like, I had also this critical thinking. I used to also like think why people behave
Right.
like certain ways.
Right,
Why do
right.
they do certain like decisions? You know. Some kind of sometimes when I was younger, I was thinking about maybe I should be psychology.
Right, right.
So basically, but I think the most crucial things that were was helping to become who I am is the curiosity, of course, and the positivity, and then optimistic. I'm very optimistic person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I always see something positive in everything. You know.
Yeah. Right. So I was gonna ask what inspired you to be a nurse, but you kind of already answered that question. But what has being a nurse taught you about humanity?
I think, of course, humanity are a lot of things, but being a nurse taught me how to be multitask, you know,
right.
how to be, how to work under pressure, under stress, you know.
Yeah.
So basically, and even when you are not even appreciated, you know, you just focus on things, you know, and be creative. Sometimes you just make something out, you know, it's something that's not working or you know, just if you don't have some stuff, you know, equipment, for example, I think there you have to use your creativity,
right?
And so basically I've learned how to be in position where you are helping people, caring people, you know, at the same time in under pressure, you know.
Right.
So those skills, and of course in teamwork, those skills help me to be or to grow as an entrepreneur, you know. Yeah, because sometimes things goes you know, in a way you didn't expect it. Yeah.
Right.
So as a nurse, you have to be calm and just move on and be present. You know, for example, if you have a patient and something, you just realize, okay, I don't have the IV and this person have IV. You cannot show you're in stress. You know?
Right.
So you have to be calm. You know, and at the same time do things. So basically, I think I'm very grateful that I have this background of nurse,
right?
Because I've been around of a lot of people, different people, you know, different places as a nurse. You know, when I did a lot of gig works, so basically it helped me to be the person or the entrepreneur I'm today.
Right. So, talking about pressure, you had your first child when you were 20.
Yes.
And as a mother of 4, you still chose one of the most stressful careers in Finland, nursing. Very stressful. How did you manage? Talking of even building a multi-million healthcare company, how do you do that being a mother of 4?
Very good question. I think the motherhood along, and you know, it brings it's like, as I told you before, as a nurse, what I learned from that field, that's also from the motherhood, because person who's a single, who doesn't have any child, you know, they can most likely they complain about things that is like luxury for, you know, mothers.
Right.
So basically when you are around of in a chaotic place or with the kids, so basically it will it will give you you can learn to be with people who are always complaining, like your child. They're never happy sometimes. So basically, and at the same time, you have to multitask. You have to, you know, everything can change if the kid is sick or something happen. You know, so basically, the multitasking happens also in the home. You know, And that also, as a mother, you learn how to be selfless. You know, always think about the best of your kids, right? And this is also in business. You have to always think about the best of your customers. What do they want, you know, and the employees, So basically, it will help you to be selfless, you know, okay? And then, and also it will help you to handle the stress, you know? So you are always in, you know, stressful, place with your family, okay, not always, but I'm thinking if something happens, so basically you don't have always the the comfort of being just alone, you come home, everything's silent, there's if you have a mother, usually you have to think about what they should eat, if they have hobbies, everything. So basically you're always moving and thinking about them. So basically when I started to have my kids in early 20s, so basically I think I learned something. I had I delivered some skills that I wouldn't get without being mother, right? And those skills are something that also brought value to this place I'm today,
right.
And of course it's compared to someone who is not mother, of course my position as an entrepreneur who has 4 kids, it's much more work, but that I know how to do how to schedule my weekly with those kids.
right. So what were some of the challenges that you faced, being like a Somali Finnish woman building a career? Did you ever feel like your identity was like a barrier, or did you use it as, fuel to just, become who you eventually became?
I think it was more like a fuel because in Finland, Somali mothers or women or Somali alone, they have certain image. Right. It was basically mainly my purpose was to show them the reality of the Somaliness.
Right.
Somalis are not the things that they see in the media, right?
Okay.
We are people with vision. We have like passion. We are hard workers. Okay, so usually they think that we're lazy. So basically, the more they saw who I am, as a Somali, of course they were wow, they were shocked.
Right.
So I immediately changed the thing that they thought that they saw in the media. The image.
Right.
So basically, what I did is like I started to show them openly who I am. I went to podcasts and I still go to podcasts.
Right.
So basically, I tell them my story.
Right.
Right. So basically, it's always I'm also ambassador for Somali African community, immigrant community to show the native Finnish.
Right.
This I'm just one of those people.
Exactly.
I'm not special.
Right. But you are special.
Thanks. But basically, I have also this purpose to show them the good things about immigrants.
Right. So, I mean, your success obviously has impacted the African community a lot. I remember even me when I moved to Helsinki. So, I'm a nurse as well.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Helsinki, I was trying to look for different places to work as a nurse.
Yeah.
And everybody was telling me about Hoiwa, and so I started to search. And then the first time when I saw, I was coming from Salo, a small city, so I knew how much I used to get paid for an hour as a nurse, right? And so when I Googled about Hoiwa, and then I saw the app and I saw how much you were paying per hour, I thought, like, what is this?
Okay.
Because I never seen that. I don't think even my boss in Salo used to make that much.
Okay.
So I started to research a little bit, and I was like, okay, like, what is this company that they are able to pay so much hourly salary? So I started to dig a little bit deeper. And when I heard about your story as a nurse, I had at this point, so this is like 2023.
Okay.
I've myself been a nurse since 2014. Okay. So that's when I graduated school, right? Yeah. So I've already seen the frustration, even like the salary, it wasn't like the best. And at that point, I've also been thinking to take the entrepreneurship journey. But at this point, I haven't had any, success. So when I heard your story, and I thought, like, hold on, like, she's African like me. She came to Finland as a refugee like me. She lived in the refugee camp like me. She is a nurse like me, and she started a business. And now she's like, she has a multi-million-dollar healthcare, company. I felt inspired. And at this point, I was also already like considering even leaving Finland, because I thought like, I've capped, because I'm a nurse. Like what else I didn't have any intention of being a doctor or whatever, right? But when I saw like somebody who looks like me has been able to do everything that I thought was impossible in Finland, I was inspired and motivated. So obviously, to us in the African community, you have your impact is undeniable. But then again, my question is, going from a nurse to being a CEO of a multi-million euro company is like a jump, right? So what type of mindset shift did you have to be able to transition into that level?
I think the mindset, of course, it changed a lot during the journey, but I can see, the difference. Yeah, I mean, the CEO is, for me, it's just a title, it's just a title. So I've seen a lot of people who had that title and have been like studying leadership, have these fine degrees,
right.
But I think, but they're not good leaders, Leadership is something that sometimes you are just born with it, you need experience,
right.
And I think as a nurse, when I used to be a nurse, I had the skills that I had today, or something like a starter of that skills. But I was humble enough to be observer, like a student of life,
Right.
And I think when you come to be a leader, you have to be always humble,
Right.
Learn from everyone, at the same time, lead people by example, right?
Right.
But for me, I truly believe there was always inside of me that, that leader, Fadumo, but I was good enough to be the student, because leader cannot be just, you have to observe people, and it's a complex. You study people, and you make something out of that, So basically, but my purpose is to make people very that they are like very active, proactive, like not like telling them, just showing them, and and they're more like comfortable to do their work, but I think of course there was a switch from a nurse to CEO, but at the same time I was always, and until today, still learning,
Right.
But I'm humble enough to know that's just a title.
Sure.
But the mindset of usually I call myself I'm more like entrepreneur. I love to make business out of something, not just in healthcare, any industry.
Yeah.
So basically, so I have that growth mindset, and that's the thing, I'm just, I don't like to be always called to CEO.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So then let me ask you, obviously, was Hoiwa your first entrepreneurship journey, something that you did outside of nursing?
I was I had 2 e-commerce, before Hoiwa.
Okay.
So basically, I had this website, online shops. So I was like, those were like my first steps to entrepreneurship. And actually, the first time I get my first sale, and that was I was so happy, and I still remember that feeling, And I was like, I want to be a business owner. So basically, that was the time I find my passion, to business world.
Right.
And but still, I think like I can, if I like made happen in Hoiwa in Finland, I can make it happen everywhere.
Of course, because those skills, they don't leave you. They stay with you.
Yeah.
But what are some of the toughest decisions that you have had to make whilst Hoiwa was scaling up, and how have you been able to keep your team inspired and motivated? like you said, you move fast and then you like to try things and fail fast.
I think toughest is always bringing the team. Team people are always. That's why I was talking about the leadership. It's very hard to be a leader. To lead people because especially when you're growing fast. You want team members and you recruit them. But sometimes people who come into the company, they're not the best one,
For sure.
Of course, and you don't have the time to actually observe is this person for real, a loyal person who wants to be part of this success, or is it just someone who's like bringing some toxic environment atmosphere. So basically, what happened was like. I trusted too much. I was too kind, and people who came to my business company, they didn't have the same mission, vision. Okay, and then. Once I felt like they're trying to make a coup.
Against you, like they did to Steve Jobs. Well, that's very common with most founders, right?
Yeah. So basically, what happened was, of course, but the thing is now. When we were talking earlier about the economic change, that I think sometimes it's good, when you're like succeeding, when you're a success story, everything was good, We were once to be in that place, where everything's everything's good, everything is like just up and running. When things aren't going well, that is the time when you see the people's real face, right? And now that Finland, the situation in Finland and Europe, the economy is doing good.
Right.
So what happened is now I've seen a lot of people who are like toxic. They're not they're not bringing nothing to me value,
Right.
So basically, I'm like now enjoying. But of course, people might say, okay, the business is not doing well. But for me, now is the best time to see who is the real friend. Who is the one to have in team, and who will be more like. Or I will be more like happy to like let them go. So the team, the people, I think that being surrounded with people, that's the toughness, Okay, it's much easier to be like with few people, but when you need growth with people, so it will bring so many difficulties, crises, everything, and that was 2023 was my toughest.
Right.
And I had to get people. We had this. We have to decrease our team.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of faces, or real faces at that time.
Right. Yeah, and nobody would know this better than you because you even started your company in crisis. So you understand, like, even in crisis, like you said, you always see the positive aspect of everything, of even in crisis, right? Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Fadumo, like I said, you are very successful and your story is very inspiring. How do you see your success like impacting the African community, both in Finland and beyond?
I think we were talking about earlier about the things that we, as African background and immigrants in Finland, of course, we are in place where we don't have the network, right? When we came here, we don't have any networks, so basically, when you start over or start life in place where even your parents doesn't have any networks, because network is your net worth, right?
Right.
So basically, we have to do a lot of work, more work than usually the people who live in here or are like native.
Yeah.
So basically, when you succeed in an environment where you are, someone who is not like from here, as an immigrant, of course, it's much difficult,
Right.
And so basically, and when you do it right, okay, that's very good. That shows a lot of who are you and the potential, right?
Right.
But when we see or what the people in Africa sees, of course, in Africa, in every countries they have obstacles, right?
Yeah.
But there are people who still are like in certain things better than us,
Others,
you know, because they are in place where they are like always accepted as Africans, as the people of that country. But for us, we are not always. But if I go to public, you know, the train, most likely for 1 week, one was finished. We will say per class. Anyway. So basically, just by my like presence, can irritate them, right? Just being a Muslim who have a hijab. So that's a long way, because we have to be always surrounded with people that doesn't like us. So basically, if we made in here, the field is much difficult than Africa. Africa maybe you don't have the, you know, the capital or something, okay? But still you're accepted as fellow African. So basically, I want people in Africa especially see that person who lives in Finland, Europe, and outside of Africa and succeeding there and try to be, you know, very honest and, you know, and wants to bring change and motivate people, you know, empower people, you know. I think they should look at those people, because they might start from much better difficult place than they they should actually study their stories. And people who are in the same place, for example, my fellow African people in Finland, they should also like look after my kind of story, you know. Because we are surrounded with people who usually look at as a victim, or people who are need help. We're not so perfect, you know. We are needy. We need their help. Basically, we're put like, you know, below. So, but I hate to be like a victim or victimized or say you're not enough. You're Somali. No, I know as African women that we have naturally skills, strength that native people doesn't have, you know. And those are the things that I always like, you know, embrace and show. Hey, I'm African. I'm resilient. You know, I don't get depressed just by losing my work. You know, I can actually work for harder and do something else. You know, no. So basically, we have to always remember the strength that we have, that comes from our culture. And those are the things. Usually, most of the people, they just tend to, forget it, you know. And I want to tell them, hey, remember your culture, your strength that comes from your culture, you know, and use those skills.
As your strength.
As a strength.
Right. So, you know, now there's a lot of us who already look up to you in terms of everything that you have done. For all the people who are watching this and hearing your story, let's say, what message would you have for them, especially for those who feel, like you said, like some people feel like they are victims because of where they are coming from, and now you are like this role model for us. So if you have a message for even like some girl, like African girl watching you right now, who feels like invincible and who feels like their identity is a barrier, what message do you have for them?
Yeah, I think the first message is that you have to always focus on the good things, the health, you know, the people around you, the place you are, that you know, everything that's positive, you know, and change the sorrow to positivity, and be like grateful everything that you have, you know, because when people focus on the things that they don't have, they tend to be, you know, sad. And just focus on those positive things in your life, you know, your family, your health, you know, your home, you know, everything. So, and then start to bring value to the people around you. Help your parents, be like, try to be like more active, you know, and learn, be curious, and if you're unemployed, go to places and ask them to take you as an internship, and then learn from them, show them your skills, be very reliable person, be honest, or everything that you say, try to always fulfill them.
Right.
So basically, when you improve yourself, when you try to be a better person, a better version of yourself, everything's come. You become to appreciate yourself.
Right.
And when you are like. When you're happy and confident with yourself, people around you will see it,
Right.
So most thing is just focus on yourself, okay? And then try every single day, learn something else and bring value to people. When you are like valuable, as a person, most likely you will find your place,
For sure.
and that will also increase your confidence.
Right. So one of my last few questions is, what is your dream for Hoiwa and yourself? And if we are sitting here like 10 years from now, what will you be most proud of?
I think for Hoiwa, my dream is that it's not only in Finland. So my mission is to expand it to the world. Yeah. So
we'll be seeing Hoiwa in Africa.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
That's like, so basically, because I see a lot of opportunities in Africa. So I want to be part of those opportunities and
sure.
and make it happen. And I see myself in Africa actually, and that's why I want to people.
Africa is still evergreen. We are waiting for you.
Yeah. Of course, I think we should always. As a people who are like experts, let's call us experts, not immigrants.
Expats. Right.
So basically, I think we should actually be the change makers. We have to change the system, and make and bring value to Africa and unite people, we have to collaborate with each other. If I'm from East Africa, of course, I want to be part of West Africans.
Right.
So basically, we have to be bridge and accept each other, and So basically, I want to be part of the vision of 2030 in Africa.
Hopefully, we are looking forward to that. So before my last questions, where can people find you if they want to follow your journey and learn from you?
You can follow me on LinkedIn. It's Fadumo Ali.
Okay.
And then Facebook Fadumo Ali and Instagram Fadumo / an underline bar and TikTok visionary Fadumo Ali. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll try to put your pages in the description. People can find you. Now let's have some fun. This question is, I think, like we have to ask you.
Okay.
Does money bring happiness? Obviously, you have seen millions of euros. So,
I think, of course, money, it brings you like easier life. Let's say, easier life. But I think happiness is not from money.
Okay.
It brings like easiness, but not happiness.
Okay. And discipline or motivation?
Discipline, of course.
Why?
Because discipline, when you have discipline, you will be disciplined. You do things even you don't like it, right?
Right.
Yeah, but if you're motivated, you can. Some motivations like but you have to have discipline. You have to be very disciplined. If you have project and this going to do well, you have to be disciplined to like fulfill the whole.
Right,
it's not like I'm unmotivated. I don't want to do disciplines.
Right.
Yeah.
What about work-life balance? Is it a myth or does it exist?
As an entrepreneur, it's a myth. You cannot succeed if you want to be 50-50. Always it needs sacrifice, and you have to be willing to sacrifice for for things that is for you like precious. Right? You cannot. If life is like you have to always choose.
Right.
Viimeiset.
So anyway, Fadumo would like to thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to spend time with us on Godson Pratt podcast. We really appreciate your vulnerability, sharing your story, and also all the lessons that you've taught us about business. I think anybody who has listened to your story is definitely gonna be inspired. And you have also reminded us that even the things that make us different, we can use them as fuel to show that we are different and our voices are special and our visions are real. Even if people don't believe in our visions in the beginning, we should still keep going, and maybe someday we will be as successful as Fadumo. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.